All right, we're back. It's RamView.
It's hot out there, but let's blow them off the line of scrimmage. Headline, Los Angeles.
Live from the RamCave, I'm Joe Terozine, and this is RamView, the August 4th, 2025 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident? Need help? Got questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word, KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair. Having some auto issues, get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. Okay. Little bit of stuff, not a whole lot of stuff, some interesting things, just depends on how you want to view it. I personally do not think it's the end of the world. I know some people are very frightened right now. I'd be more afraid to be a Steeler fan than a Ram fan, and I'd be absolutely terrified to be a 49er fan, given who they've chosen recently to add to their roster. We'll talk about Micah Parsons, Caleb Williams, and, of course, the Cowboys backtracking as well. And Tremaine Ankrum lives. Go Tremaine. So let's just get started here. Happy to be here. Sorry to cut it short. My wife was very apologetic on Friday because she said she wasn't wanting me to hurry. But when you get that look, you never know what they really mean with that look. So that's why I cut it short. So just looking around the landscape of everything, you see the holdouts that aren't that big of a deal to me. Again, I'm not all caught up. If I thought those holdouts were really going to lead to something, I'm not even a Charger fan. I just can't understand why the Chargers wouldn't make a move for McLaurin. Just can't understand it. So none of those things are real. Everyone's just getting hyped. We got games on Thursday, and everything kind of picks up the pace from there. Rams, Cowboys on August the 9th. So this is what I did. As I was going through the weekend and coming out today, I ended up hearing Locked On Rams. Now, you guys, I know a lot of you guys don't like Locked On Rams. To me, it's not its best version. Its best version was when Sosa Kremenjas was running it 3 years ago. I don't have a problem with Travis Rogers or Doug McCain, but credit where credit's due. I was getting in the shower and I just needed a podcast, so I put that in there. And I heard Doug McCain, the young guy, he kind of shared just something really simple that I thought was really good. I want to give credit because I didn't say it. He said it. I hadn't heard anyone else say it. He said it was really smart of the Rams not to give a timetable for Matthew Stafford. And that's true. It's like, who's worked up about this? I saw some really ridiculous stuff in other media. And, the Locked On guys are a little concerned, I guess. But I thought it was really smart. He said it. Travis Rogers amended it. So I want to give them credit because I know sometimes people will take a shot every once in a while at Locked On here. And I don't really want us to be doing that. So, but where I disagreed with them, and it's just a disagreement, not saying they were wrong, but where I disagreed, it was that I had a different take on Stetson Bennett. If you hear them, they're talking about, hey, Stetson Bennett, you don't need to recreate the wheel. Just do what they tell you. You'll make the team. Stetson Bennett's going to make the team either way. That's what I think. Unless Stetson Bennett has a complete personal meltdown. He's been with the team for 3 years. They had an opportunity to get rid of him. They didn't get rid of him. He knows the offense as well as any emergency quarterback's going to know, right? So he'll still have an opportunity to be the team's Brock Purdy if some horrible stuff arises. But they were talking for Stetson Bennett to play it safe. And if I'm Stetson Bennett, who's turning 28 this October, entering his third NFL season, has not seen live action, his biological clock is ticking. If I'm Stetson Bennett, I'm saying, hey, man, I know you guys don't care, and I know it's all about getting the team just ready and find out who's going to make the team. If I'm Stetson Bennett, I'm saying, let me throw the ball 40 times. Just let me play the whole game up until the fourth quarter and throw the ball 40 times. We know dress or win is just window dressing. But if I'm Stetson Bennett, I want a chance to uncork it. Now that, 2 years now, his life's on track. He's turning 28. He needs to uncork it, man. He just needs to just start flinging that ball around. And that's what I'd be asking for. Why play it safe? You're just about at the end of the road here, pal. 28 for an emergency quarterback. not named Josh Johnson, that's when you got to start saying, man, let me just play, right? Let me just don't let me just hand off to Ronnie Rivers or Cody Schrader. Let me fling the ball, right? Let me throw the ball all over the yard and find out what I got. Okay, guys, I saw you guys clicking in. Tim Burns, Steve Ramirez, thank you so much for clicking on. Let's see. Tim Burns, want to hear a 49ers joke? Colin Kaepernick playing again. Bada boom. Okay. Was there Colin Kaepernick news today? I didn't see it, but I'm sure it's okay. Nice kit, Joe. My shirt? Is that what you're saying? Help me. Let's face it. We signed up for this. We got a ring, but we get the culmination of all those hits in Detroit. Okay. So we're talking about Stafford. We will have this worried feeling we have right now for the rest of Stafford's career, which, let's be honest, right? Do you envision it at most more than 2 years? I got to tell you, I put it in the description box there. I got peace like a river. There's nothing bothering me about Matthew Stafford. Not a thing. I think because he is 37. And yeah, we bought as is, but that as is got us to a Super Bowl, and we wouldn't have won the Super Bowl without that as is. And so I'm not fretting it. I'm not worried about it. If Kellen Clemens was my quarterback, if Stetson Bennett was the number 2, if Sean King was the backup quarterback, if Blake Bortles was the backup quarterback, yeah, I'd have some concerns, but I do not have concerns about Jimmy G being in the second year and going about a year and a half without taking any serious hits. So I've got some comfort there. And again, Stafford's 37. I know they're saying he went back to the specialist. It's not like he's not walking around. They're even saying he's doing some simple private workouts. He's doing things that are keeping him in shape. So he's mobile. He's not like he's in traction. I'm not going to worry about it until September, 2nd or 3rd. That's when I'll worry about it. Otherwise, I think the Rams are just being doubly cautious, and he doesn't need to be out there. And that was one of the funnier comments I heard today as I was working in my office. It was J-Mac with the news, right? And he had this whole breaking news that, Stafford's this, Stafford's that. And then he said this, which I thought, dude, do you do any work, right? Do you really, really investigate what you do? He said Matthew Stafford might not play this preseason. And it's like, Matthew Stafford never plays in the preseason with the Rams. I'm like, how can you make that statement about any Rams starter in the preseason? So I thought that was kind of funny. It's like, man, these guys are bad. But in terms of and Coward didn't correct him, which was kind of weak cheese on his part. But yeah, Matthew Stafford wasn't going to play this preseason. He's 37. He's proven everything. It's not his arm. It's not his forearm. It's not his shoulder. It's not his elbow. I'm okay. Heck, I every year or summer, I usually drive 6,000 miles. I do all the driving, 3,000 miles east, 3,000 miles back. And when I get out, my back has got a little tweak in the lower right side. It's like that for about a week, and it goes away. I really think that Matthew Stafford, they're just playing it safe, okay? Feel free to rip me apart, but in a couple of weeks. But right now, I'm just not worried about it. When we hear he has to have surgery, okay, then it's on. Then it's threat level midnight. But right now, let's not get worked up, because here's what it is. It's just like tsunami coverage. People are begging for something bad to happen so they have something to talk about. And they're salivating. They're anticipating. We need something. And I think the Rams know what they got in a 37-year-old quarterback, right? They're not going to drive a 37-year-old quarterback 3,000 miles across the country. No, they're going to rent. They're going to rent a quarterback to do that drive, right? And then play their 37-year-old quarterback when it really counts, right? So, again, I just wouldn't get so worked up about it. Let's see what we got here. Bill, who's going to run the ball on Saturday for the Rams? I think Blake Corum has shown enough to me. I don't think he needs to be on the field. I don't want Blake Corum to play. I want to see all Jarquez Hunter, and I want to see Schrader, and, of course, I want to see Ronnie Rivers. That's who I want to see, Bill, if you're good with that. Manuel Vasquez, considering all the quarterbacks that come out of the draft every year and veterans that are unsigned, has to be a better option than Bennett. I don't know if the Rams see it that way, Manuel. He's been in the system now for 3 years. He knows the system. They like him. Now, on the surface, I'm right there with you. I'm not a Stetson Bennett fan. I wasn't really a fan of them getting him, in the 4th round that year, moving up to get him. But they kept him around. And I don't think they're being nice. Even when the Rams are nice, they still send people away. I think if you got somebody out there who the third guy, they're just not interested, right? They're not interested. He knows the system. People are familiar with him. And I think that's what they're doing. They're sticking with him. Tim Burns, Stetson Bennett needs to call a presser and tell us why he deserves a spot. It's what I need as a Rams fan. Well, I don't know. I'm not going to try to get in the face of my audience here, but in McSnead, we trust, right, guys? In McSnead, we trust. Now, he's been clean since he set out all of 23. He's been clean. And it's like, all right, no follow-ups, no DUIs, no anything. Whatever the case was, I think people do think it was alcohol. But Stetson Bennett's been clean. And of course, we haven't even talked about that. Multiple platforms are talking about, and I saw some video. He has bulked up a little bit. They're talking about how good he looks this spring. And so I don't know if there's a third guy out there. I really don't. And the Rams didn't draft anybody, did they? Right? And, this is the Emmanuel Forbes lesson. They didn't draft anybody. They didn't sign anybody. When it comes to quarterback, they didn't draft anybody. They didn't sign anybody. Dresser Wynn was brought in just to be a camp arm, as he's done the last 2 years. So, I think we just need to trust in McSnead. Manuel Vasquez. Stafford has more than earned the benefit of the doubt over the years, so I'm not really worried about it right now. There you go, Manny. We're in sync. Tim Burns, road trip style, Joe T style. Absolutely. Folks, if you've never been anywhere, you got to go on a road trip with me because I know how to do it. That's what I'm master class at driving cross country. Love flyover country. Bill, I heard a lot of good things about Willie Lampkin, the guard. Not much being said about him at camp. I haven't heard his name dropped. Of course, I didn't hear today's presser, if there was a presser today, because I always try to listen for the things he's not saying or subtly dropping in. I really don't listen to the, we're going to play good football, that kind of stuff. That doesn't move the needle. But when he starts dropping names, McVay. So I haven't heard, unless he did it today. No, I have not heard his name mentioned. In other places, I heard conversations about Trey Wettig that people did like him. So real quick here, let's run down this the injury list that people are talking about. Matthew Stafford may not play during the preseason. Laugh out loud, right? Status is listed as week to week. Okay, I'm okay with that. I don't care. Emmanuel Forbes, hamstring status. He could be out. I think I saw 2 weeks, then it was 1 week. I think he's going to make this team. And if he's going to have a moment, let it be now. Darius Williams had a tender hamstring. Rams caught it early, right? He was out for about a month at the start of the season, came back, or after the start of the season, came back. Cam Curl, I'm not worried about that one at all. That one doesn't bother me at all. The ankle, I think he stepped on somebody's foot. And then Terrence Ferguson, that was the one that surprised me this morning when I saw it. I am curious. The rookie comes out there and he's got a little bit of a tender groin. That one makes me curious. That one, okay, I'm not going to say I'm worried, but it makes me a little bit curious. Kobe Turner. Now, Kobe Turner having a back issue, I will say that raises a little bit of fear for me, because even though Stafford takes hits, he's not in a car wreck on every play. Kobe Turner and those guys in the trenches are in a car wreck on every single play. And so that one, he's listed as day-to-day, so it's not too bad. But that one does interest me. Above all of them, Stafford, Forbes, Curl, Ferguson, Turner is the one that interests me. I'm not worried at all about Landman, who's got a calf issue. And the one that I was kind of like, I mean, no one wants anyone to be hurt, but because they mentioned him, is Dylan McMahon, the practice squad guy they signed off the Eagles roster last year. And he's still listed on the depth chart as a center, where Bo Limmer's being listed as a guard on some of the depth charts. They like Dylan McMahon, and he's got a tender ankle. Doesn't look too bad, but the interesting part there for me is, did they score somebody? Did the Rams really score somebody that's maybe not a project? He's not a Mike McAllister out of Youngstown State, right? This is a guy that, oh my gosh, he can make the roster. He was good enough to take Bo Limmer and kind of move him over on the depth chart to guard. And that's kind of exciting. And of course, they were both, Limmer and McMahon were both 6th round picks. And McMahon was taken ahead of Limmer. And Limmer gave us a great year for a rookie, for a 6th rounder. Yeah, I think for his level, he gave us a great year. And it's kind of interesting to wonder if maybe the Rams had eyes on McMahon before the Eagles took him. And you know why the Eagles had to put him on the practice squad, because they were so deep at offensive line. So I got to admit, just the fact they're talking about an injury for a guy that was a practice squad player that played in 1 game last year, that makes me feel like, man, the Rams have added some more depth along this offensive line. I don't know if that's what went through your head, but it's what went through mine. All right, let's see what else we got here. Gilbert Gonzalez, let Matthew rest. Put some Ben Gay on his back and be ready for the regular season. Do not rush it. He's also got that sleep number bet, right? He does that sleep number commercial. Set it to whatever it is that says good back, and go from there. Steve Ramirez, my concern with Stafford is he won't participate in the Dallas scrimmage this week, which he usually plays in. Again, I know that, right? I do. I know, but I'm not concerned at all. I'm not. I'm just, I'm going to go total benefit of the doubt and say, he's 37. There's no need here. He probably got a little tweak in his back, and we're just not going to, it's lingering a little bit, which I think many of us have had, and they're just not going to rush it. Because here's the thing. He's going to get smacked, right? Somewhere along the way, he's going to get smacked pretty hard. Let's save it, right? Let's save it. And I'll say this. Was it 2016 that the Deflategate suspension came in? Because I think I've talked about it before, but it's not in my notes today. When the suspension for Tom Brady for Deflategate came in, it was 2016. And, they benched Tom Brady, what was he at that point? The 37, 38-year-old quarterback or whatever he was, probably going on 38. They benched Tom Brady, suspended him for 4 games to start the 2016 season. And of course, the Patriots had depth and they moved along just fine. Jacoby Brissett got introduced to the NFL. And then they came back, and the greatest quarterback of all time only had to play 12 regular season games. I don't know what you think, but I think that was a win for the Patriots. I think that was a win for Tom Brady. I think if the Rams are confident in Jimmy G, why not? Can the Rams beat the Texans without Matthew Stafford? Yeah, of course they can. I'm not saying that game's going to be a runaway or a blowout, but they can beat him. They can beat them. Can they beat the Titans? Yeah, they can. Can they beat the Eagles? That's a different story. Can they beat the Colts? Yes. Can they beat the 49ers at home? Yes. Can they beat the Jaguars on the road in London? Yeah. Will they beat the Ravens? Probably not. Those games would be closer than we would expect them to be. But can you imagine maybe a Matthew Stafford gets 2 or 3 weeks off plus week 18 if the Rams aren't having to compete for something? Jimmy G works off some of the rust, and that's just 12 to 16 quarters that Matthew Stafford's not taking hits. I'm all down with the get down. Stafford's not playing to throw 40 touchdown passes. He's playing to win another ring. And for some reason, as some people think, to secure a place in the Hall of Fame, which should already be secure. All right. Let's see. Manny Vasquez. For once, I would love to see the Rams start the season completely healthy to them. So them being cautious with all the players is something I'm on board with 100%. There you go. Right? I just don't want 2-point wins. I don't want 1 possession wins. I want a couple of blowouts, right? I want a couple of blowouts. Michael Negretti, hola, Pastor Joe. Any new news on the Lakers? Well, did you see Luka Doncic's contract? I'm sure you did, right? I'm sure you did. And I'm still trying to debate whether or not I'm really seeing Luka Doncic or some version of artificial intelligence, because that dude looks radically, radically different. There we go. Tim Burns. Negretti, we need LBJ, Bronny trade to Cleveland for Darius Garland. I'm for anything that gets LBJ out of the house. That's all. I'm for anything that gets him out of the house. Change the locks. Michael Negretti, Stafford should go to a chiropractor. The back will feel better. Okay. I'm sure they got him seeing a specialist. There's a certain specialist there the Rams have. All right, I'm Joe Terosian, sports writer for 20 plus years. I contribute to Mid-Valley Sports. I was one of the founders there, but I'm not running the show. The guys running the show there are Tim Peterson, Dwayne Barker. They're in the room with the Chargers. I get to do RamView thanks to our sponsors at Kistler Law, who are great, and I write books. And so you guys purchasing my books, keeping me afloat in my side hustle, allows me to do my day job. I pastor a very small church in Burbank called Burbank Faith Nazarene. And you can see us right here on YouTube at Burbank Faith Virtual, burbankfaithvirtual.com, and Burbank Faith Virtual all across social media. Although for the next 3 weeks, I am on vacation from my church work. Also, you can check us out on Spotify and iHeart, and check us out in those places and help us with our poor purely podcast existence. So thank goodness for YouTube. All right, around the NFL and other places, how are you feeling about Micah Parsons? I feel like it's just a stunt. I know we feel like Jerry Jones is going to give him his dough, and they're all going to call it a win. But I'm begging Jerry Jones, give Micah Parsons all the dough he wants, because he's not that good. I think he's good to almost very good, but is he great? No, he's not great. Let me ask you right now, as a Ram fan, I think I got a feeling I know where this would go. Micah Parsons or Jared Verse? I know Micah has more of a track record in the NFL, but Micah Parsons or Jared Verse, right? Micah Parsons, man, he's the Eric Karros of sack collectors, right? I've said this many times before. Eric Karros, when he was with the Dodgers in the 90s, I think he had like 5 or 6 years of consecutive 20 home run seasons. And, he's good, steady first baseman. But I always challenge people, tell me the important home run that Eric Karros ever hit. The big one, right? And Eric Karros is the guy that hits a home run when his team is up 7-2. Or Eric Karros is the guy that hits the home run when his team is losing 7-2. And it's just kind of window dressing at the end. Micah Parsons, big game, right? Plenty of playoff appearances, 1 sack, right? I'm just not real impressed with Micah Parsons. I just don't think he makes a difference. That's why I want the Cowboys to pay him big, fat dough to go along with the big, fat dough they're giving CD, to go along with the big, fat dough they're giving Dak, and to bury themselves in mediocrity, right? It's so exciting. The Cowboys have become the Solieri of the NFC, right? It's like their music is fading in the past, and the McVay music is lasting forever. There you go. When I look at Caleb Williams, and there was a lot of stuff on highlights on Caleb Williams, and I was looking at that, and he's struggling a little bit here and there. He's getting frustrated. I don't know about you, but when I look at Caleb Williams, I see a dude that's inside his own head. Does anyone ever think that maybe he's just overthinking, he's internalizing too much? He needs some kind of emotional or spiritual, not physical, I'm not saying physical, but some kind of emotional, spiritual shock therapy that says, dude, get out of your head. Just get out of your head and stop overthinking it. Stop overthinking it. And as someone who played quarterback at a very low level, I know that feeling. I know that feeling of too many thoughts going through your head instead of just reading and reacting. And so I get the feeling with Caleb Williams, he's in his head. I'd be curious to know your guys' thoughts on that. Let's see. Bill, do you think all the Rams draft choices will play on Saturday night? That would be interesting. Yeah, I mean, Terrence Ferguson, if he's got a tweaked growing, I don't know. But definitely I think Jarquez got to get on the field, right? I think Josiah needs to get on the field. But if they are, I think they're going to be on there briefly. I think we're going to get a steady diet of edge players with Hampton and the rest of that squad that's looking for an opportunity, right? I think Josiah is going to be in good shape, but yeah, Hampton and not Byron Young, but Keir Thomas, those guys are going to get a lot of playing time and such. So I don't expect the high round guys to get a lot of playing time, but I do think Jarquez Hunter has to get in there, right? And that'll be an interesting call. Be interesting to see how they do that. Let's see here. Tim Burns, if we were to take Parsons, We should have stolen TJ Watt from San Francisco, Steeler fan Rob. Yeah, I don't want either one of those guys. Last I heard, TJ was getting roughed up by some young offensive lineman. That's what I heard. Anyway, Manny Vasquez, comparison between Parsons and Verse. Manny Vasquez says, without a doubt, Verse. All right. Steve Ramirez, that's what Yankee fans used to say about A-Rod, meaningless home runs. I think that you're right, Steve. There's truth to that. There's truth to that. It's like really good numbers, but, man, are you giving it to me at the right time? This, as a Met fan, Bryce Harper never scared me as a Met fan. Bryce Harper, he never really punished the Mets. The guy that killed the Mets was Anthony Rendon. And when he left the Nationals and went to the Angels, I mean, that was a disaster. I was really happy because anytime they needed a clutch hit, Rendon just killed the Mets. But, yeah, there's just guys like that. Manny Vasquez, I saw a lot of Ram fans pounding the table for Parsons in a trade. Hopefully that never happens. Okay, let me ask you, who were those Ram fans? Were those the Ram fans you see in a sports bar on a Sunday? They watch the big game at Buffalo Wild Wings? Because those aren't Ram fans, right? Those aren't Ram fans. And any, Ram family, Ramdom has to be elevated because the team is elevated. The McVay era and the Snead era is really great organizational football, and you can't just do that sports bar. Yeah, get Micah Parsons, it'll be great, right? No, I don't want Micah Parsons. I don't want anything to do with Micah Parsons. I agree. Never let that happen. Tim Burns, I am stoked to see Jarquez. Everyone's talking burst speed, surprising. Yeah, I want to see Jarquez Hunter too. I really do. And if he doesn't play, to go back to Bill and Tim there, if he doesn't play, that tells you everything you need to know about what the Rams think about Jarquez Hunter, right? It's Cody Schrader, Ronnie Rivers, and whoever else is there. Who's the other running back they got on the roster? Jordan Waters, right? So Jarquez Hunter doesn't see the field. That tells you what the Rams think about him. Let's see. Tim Burns, A-Rod had meaningless home runs, about 300 of them versus Oakland. There you go. You would know, man. You would know. Let's see. Manny Vasquez, mostly in Rams pages, podcasts, fan sites that I am a part of. Okay, yeah. And some of those sites are great. And some of them, man, it's like, bro, what are you selling, right? It's like, what are you pushing on me? So, okay, let's press on here in around the NFL and other places. Cowboys re-signed La'el Collins. Wasn't he last seen in Cincinnati, right? And I thought he was done then. Obviously he was, because if the Bengals move off of you as an offensive lineman, you are done. And that's where the Cowboys are reduced to. They got to sign a La'el Collins, try to recapture some 2020, 2019 La'el Collins. And they signed Jerron Christian. Anyone remember Jerron Christian? Former Ram, never saw the field. I think they signed him. Was it last year they signed him after all the injuries? Yeah. So I'm thrilled about what's going on with the Cowboys. I'm also thrilled what's going on with the 49ers. They signed Robbie Chosen, formerly Robbie Anderson, who you got to go back about 6 years to his heyday with the Jets and a year in Carolina before everything started falling apart. Now he's Robbie Chosen. Hasn't played in the NFL since 2023. Caught 4 passes that year. And he's 32, and the 49ers signed him. What does that tell you about what they think about where Ricky Pearsall is at, where Brandon Ayuk is at, where they're at with Juwan Jennings? Isn't it marvelous to think that the 49ers have been reduced to Robbie Chosen? And people keep coming at us with, that 49ers schedule. It's, they're just going to be great because they've got an easy schedule, and they're just going to take the NFC West. And that was one of J-Mac's things, man. Rams can't afford to fall behind too many games behind Frisco because Frisco has the easy schedule. Well, is the Cardinal games going to be easy for Frisco? Are the Seahawks games going to be easy? Are the Rams games going to be easy? Is the Bucks going to be easy? The Falcons going to be easy? I question where the 49ers are going to be, right? I wonder what's going to be left of them when they play the Seahawks in week 1, because I think the Seahawks are going to slam them around pretty good because I don't like their offensive line. And now they've been reduced to signing Robbie Chosen. How marvelous, right? How marvelous. All right, let's see what else we got here. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, Michael Negretti. Pastor Joe, you passed my last chat statement. Which one was that, Chief? Mostly in Pages podcasts or without a doubt verse? Tell me where I missed it, Chief, and I'll go back. I'll give you some love. ESG, Micah Parsons is very tempting, even though he costs a lot of money. Oh, man, I must have missed some questions there. Sorry, ESG. No, he's not tempting to me at all. Not tempting to me at all. Steve Ramirez, Lucas signs a new deal. LeBron poses in front of Clippers logo. Maybe time for LeBron to go. LBJ is pouting. Just not a great Laker. Not a great Laker. Let's see. Steve Ramirez, replacing Young with Parsons might add three or four more sacks. Is that worth it for a top draft pick? And the cost, right? Do you want to be in a world where you're paying Micah Parsons so much money that you've got to top it in 2 seasons with Jared Verse, right? Because it just doesn't work for me. Doesn't work for me at all. Tribe, Stafford fine. McVay just doesn't want to play him in the preseason, just like the last 4 years. I'm inclined to agree with you, Tribe. I am. I think he does have a little tweak. I'm not doubting that, but they're just being very careful with their 37-year-old quarterback. Gilbert Gonzalez, I would take Fisk over Parsons, younger, cheaper, and in the end, maybe better. Verse is going to be Defensive Player of the Year very soon. I think that's the expectation. I know Fisk plays with his hand in the dirt or in the turf. So, yeah, I'm just not feeling it for Micah Parsons. I'm just not feeling it. Let's see. Michael Negretti, which question did I miss, man? Help me. Padre, let's say I would take Verse over Parsons. I think chemistry with Verse and its defense only makes this team special. I would like to sign another cornerback. Okay. I'll give you that one, Michael. Got it. There we go. I saw it. Got it. All right. So, Bengals signed Noah Fant, former Seahawk, and people are talking about he looks good over there. What a great place. If you could still run and play a little bit, what a great place to play tight end when you've got T. Higgins and Jamar Chase on either side of you and Joe Burrow throwing the ball. That's a great place to play tight end because I think you're going to get some really, really good looks. And in the former Rams,
they come and they go, Hobbs. They come and they go.
Former Ram Tremaine Ankrum, 7th round, 250 overall, 2020 out of Clemson. The guy I was hoping big things for from the Rams. He got his big chance in 2022, played one play, broke his foot, never was the same after that. He's bounced around everywhere. He is signed with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So good for Tremaine Ankrum. The dream continues. Colts released former Ram cornerback David Long. Now, you talk about some misses here. I'm going to mention a couple of misses. David Long was a 3rd round, 79th overall pick by the Rams in 2019. Played all through his 4-year contract and then went to the Raiders, and then he's bounced around the NFL ever since. He was released on an injury settlement by the Colts. And, it's just about over for David Long Jr., I imagine. But remember, he just never played, right? Darius Williams was the undrafted free agent, the guy they picked up off the street from Baltimore, who's probably kicked themselves in the gut for that. But Long couldn't get any playing time, just couldn't get on the field, was a special teamer. And when his time came, no second contract, and he just moved on. And that was when you're drafted in the 3rd round by the Rams, right? That's a really serious premium pick. It's a top 100 pick, let alone your pretty premium pick. And I'll say this too. Former Ram tight end, wide receiver. He had kind of a little bit of a Nelson Spruce burst there his rookie year in the preseason. Jacob Harris. Remember Jacob Harris? Tall, lanky, was going to be a red zone threat, tight end, wide receiver. He's listed as a wide receiver now. Spent some time in Philly. He spent some time in the UFL. He was a 4th round, 141st overall pick by the Rams. Now, that's not top 100, but you're a 4th round pick by the Rams. That's generally where they grab their tight ends. You're going to be something, right? And it didn't end. I think within a year, it was over for him. Well, he just recently signed with Tampa Bay, so the dream lives for Jacob Harris. So we're happy for him. All right, let's see. Tribe, Whiners have more oil leaks in the secondary than the 10-minute Valvoline station. Very good. Absolutely, right? I if they go to the Super Bowl, I'm going to look like an idiot, but I think this team I think they're set up. I mean, yeah, I think the schedule will help them a little bit outside of conference or outside of division, but I don't think anything's a give me for those guys. And if you're counting on the 2023, 2022 version of Christian McCaffrey at this point in his career, if you're counting on Trent Williams to play an entire season, when you don't know who your left guard's going to be, and you're still counting on Colton McKivitz at right guard because you never replaced Matt McGlinchey, yeah, Bosa's getting older, Fred Warner's getting older. Yeah, some of your big signings are kind of funny who they brought in, so yeah, I think was it Bryce Huff? That one might be interesting, but we'll see. Let's see, Michael Negretti, Pastor Joe. If the Rams can't get Arch Manning, I would give a couple of call to the Bungles for Joe Burrow. I would. Joe Burrow's great when he plays. I'm not as enamored with Joe Burrow as everyone else is. I know he's great, good quarterback, really good quarterback. He'd probably thrive under McVay. But, he'd almost have to be at a point where he demands to be. He almost have to do a Carson Palmer, right? That would be interesting. Yeah, I'd give it a shot. Let's just say Stafford that can't go for the rest of this year. Burrow says, I want out. Bengals say, give us 2 draft picks. Boom, we give him 2 draft. Oh, okay, I'll do that then. But yeah, and then again, the whole Arch Manning thing, doesn't it feel a little too prefabbed? Don't we have to watch him, right? Don't we want to see him play before before we sell the farm on this guy, right? And before we really dive in, I want it to be true, right? And also we got to figure out, let's just say everything goes the way we want it to go, right? It goes the way we want it to go. We're drafting 32, and so yeah, you're not going to get a chance to really move up. I know, depends on what the Falcons do. I don't know if that's going to be enough to pass some of these other teams that want Arch Manning, if he is the guy, right? Maybe it's Drew Aller, maybe it's the guy from Penn State, right? Whoever's out there. I know it's not going to be Carson Beck, thank goodness, but yeah, just keep your eyes open there. I did have this thought as I was winding down some last-minute notes. What would happen, back to Stetson Bennett? Could Stetson Bennett, in the event of a disaster, could he be our Brock Purdy? Okay, I'm not saying long-term guy. I'm not saying you're going to give him 50 rocks or anything like that. But could Stetson Bennett be the Rams' Brock Purdy? Could he, if everyone's healthy, offensive line, backs, everyone's healthy, everyone's out there, could Stetson Bennett give the Rams what Brock Purdy gave the 49ers? And I'll tell you this, Brock Purdy should have a Super Bowl ring. And the reason he doesn't have a Super Bowl ring is because his head coach is Kyle Shanahan. Probably the fact that he's got a $50 million contract is because of Kyle Shanahan, because the offense works with what he can do. But it's also, Kyle Shanahan in the fourth quarter. That's why he doesn't have a ring. But a guy like similar size, 2 NCAA championships under his belt, could Stetson Bennett be the Rams' Brock Purdy if ultimate disaster struck? What do you guys think, right? I'm willing to go another 10 minutes here, guys. I've kind of gone through most of my material. I don't want to go into this day in Rams history too much. Let's see. The boom, boom, boom. Boy, you guys came in with some questions. Hey, Bill, if the 49ers fall, will Shanahan and their GM be gone? If they were thinking right, you saw, guys, you've heard me talk about the misses for the 49ers, right? That since 2020, they've had 13 top 100 picks, and they've only hit on 2 of them. And one of them was Brandon Ayuk, and the other one was guard Dominic Puny, because the jury is still out on Ricky Pearsall. So that's a lot of misses. And you figure the whiffs on Trey Lance, that total misread on Trey Lance. Someone, right? Someone's going to, because I can't imagine this. I can't, is it Jed York? Who's running them right now, right? I don't even know. It's York still. At some point, do you look at it? Are we going to really try? Let's just say everything falls apart, right? There's more injuries, right? They finish 8-9, 9-8, just missed the playoffs. They drafted Jake Moody, for goodness sakes. So At some point, do you say, oh, yeah, we're going to reload and come back next year? Reload what? An older Bosa, an older Trent Williams, a more beaten up McCaffrey? Let's say McCaffrey runs for 1,000 yards, plays 14 games, looks okay, but what's it going to give you in 2026? And so, yeah, and that wide receiver room's been reduced to signing Robbie Chosen. That's not a reload to me. That looks like a wholesale blowout, right? You're just getting rid of everybody, and that's the hard part, because I think you need Kyle Shanahan because he fits your new 50 rock quarterback, right? A new coach coming in there might not have a system that speaks to Brock Purdy's talents, and so yeah, that's something to think about there. Let's see. Manny Vasquez, the fourth easiest schedule in the last 25 years and number one over the last 10. So yeah, the schedule is going to help the 49ers, but it won't matter because they choke. Again, when they talk about these things, I mean, this is prognosticators predicted the Rams to win 4.5 games in 2023. They got the Seahawks, then they play the Saints, then they play the Cardinals, then they got to play the Jaguars and the Rams, the Bucks, the Falcons, and those games aren't easy outs. The Texans aren't going to be an easy out. They get the Giants, okay. The Rams again, the Cardinals, Panthers, okay. You give them that one, Browns, okay. Then they get their bye. You get the Titans, okay. The Colts, I'll say this about the Colts, and we'll know everything about the Colts by the end of the season. Colts are a really good team. They just don't have a quarterback. If somehow Steichen can figure that thing out, the Colts aren't going to be an easy out necessarily at that time of year. We don't know where the Bears are going to be, and then they finish with the Seahawks. So I'm skeptical. I'm really skeptical when they throw it at me that, oh, it's a super easy schedule. I'm not doubting what you looked up there, Chief, but it's just how I look at it. August 28th, Willie, I think we're talking about, is that the uniform release or something? I'm not really crazy about the uniform stuff. I don't care about the uniform stuff. It doesn't mean anything to me as long as they're not wearing the stupid black. I've done all my rants on that stuff, but I guess we'll be surprised. There we go. Brian Smith, Tim Burns, Bosa. Let's see. Boom, boom, boom. I pray that the new uniforms resemble the 73 80s LA Rams. I hope so too, Willie. Michael Negretti, 2 wishes for the Rams this year: to win the Super Bowl and the Falcons to go have the worst record in the NFL. Yeah, 0-17 would work. Tim Burns, Bennett isn't that guy anymore, sheltered for 3 years where no one knows anything. I don't want that as a leader. But if an emergency came up, right? If an emergency happened, could he be the guy? I'm getting messages here. Could he be the guy if there is an emergency, right? That I'm just asking. Bill, the difference between Purdy and Bennett is Bennett can't make all the throws. Probably right, and we haven't seen him make those throws. But doesn't Brock Purdy make throws sometimes that you're going, dang, those anticipatory throws deep over the middle? He does make some throws. I'm not anti-Brock Purdy. I know he has to be in a certain kind of offense, but he does make some amazing throws. Willie Bone, absolutely my same thoughts, Mike. Let's see. If Bennett had 2 Pro Bowl wide receivers, tight end, fullback, running back, and left tackle like Purdy did, and a top 10 defense, then yeah, maybe. Yeah, I did say if everything goes right. Tim Burns, Bosa is toast. There we go. Or he'll play 11 games, right? Willie says hi to Manny, Malcolm Negretti, Mr. Bosa. It's Bozo, Mr. Burns. There we go. Tim Burns, remember when Richardson was the savior? Do you remember the game he played against the Rams in 2023? Do you remember the Rams were up in that game in Indy, and the Colts came back, and Richardson actually played pretty well in that game, and I don't think he finished it, though. Was that the game he finished? Because like 3 of the first 4 games he played, he didn't finish. And that was the game that Stafford hit Nakua in overtime for the win. And he looked like, oh, man, he's developing, but I kind of lost it with Richardson when he tapped out last year, that he was gassed and needed to come out of the game. That one ended my Richardson run. I'm more pro Stetson Bennett than I am Anthony Richardson these days. Bill, easiest schedule means nothing because some teams will be better this year and some will be worse. Yeah, what if the Bears develop, right? What if they develop? ESG, many people are making a big deal about next year's draft. I have a feeling many teams are going to throw the season away in order to get a good draft position. Yeah, I don't think trading up for I don't think we're going to get Arch Manning. There we go. I don't want to kill the momentum here. I don't think the Rams are going to get Arch Manning. I just don't. I just don't. And honestly, I subscribe to what I shared a few months ago about what Colin Cowherd said. If Matthew Stafford comes in and plays the whole season or leads the Rams to the Super Bowl, he's healthy, they win, why not just put more pieces around him in the final year of his contract, right? Why not do that, right? We'll know on the podium as he's being handed the MVP trophy if he says, hey, this is it for my career. He does a John Elway and walks away. Or if he goes, we'll be back. Now, the Rams will know by the end of that day in February of 2026, they're going to know whether or not they need to go back into the market for a quarterback, for a big-time quarterback and such. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But I'm not holding out hope for that ace quarterback in next year's draft coming to the Rams. Brian Smith, Burns said TJ Watt to San Francisco. Yeah, he can go to San Francisco. I don't care. TJ Watt's never won a playoff game. There you go. One playoff sack. Steve Ramirez, TJ Bosa. Steve Ramirez, 49ers just have 2-3 easier games than the Rams. All NFC West teams basically the same schedule except for 3 games. And nothing's going to be easy in the NFC West. I could see the Rams going 4-2 in the NFC West. Yeah, I can. I could see them getting shocked by the 49ers early, but not beat late because the 49ers will fall apart. But someone's gonna stick it to the Rams, and we're all going to be really upset. Let's see. Michael Negretti, operator, this is an emergency. What are we doing? Manny Vasquez, hey, Willie. Michael Negretti, Pastor Joe, did you watch SummerSlam? No, I did not watch SummerSlam. Brian Smith, is there such a thing as an easy game in the NFL? Injuries happen, and that's why we don't play the preseason, right? But when you're a little younger, you bounce back quicker. It doesn't linger, and you might not be so apt to pull or stretch or break something when you're younger because you're a little more spry. But no, injuries happen. Injuries happen. That was one of the things I put it in my first book because you spend at that time when I wrote Tangent Dreams. I had been writing for like about 18 years, 17 years. And, you watch all the games, you pride yourself on thinking what you know. And it was one thing that happened. I was talking to a coach and I was watching a player work out and he turned his ankle in 0 week of a high school football season. And, he came back and he was playing and it was like November, right? And that kid was still playing and that ankle was still tender first week in November when he hurt it at the beginning of September, right? And you have that injury that just lingers all year, and you got to play through it. And I heard somebody describe what NFL players go through when they're on that sideline is basically they go through torture, right? With the pain they endure in the game. So yeah, there's something what you're saying there, Mr. Smith. Bill, does Arch Manning put a list of teams he won't play for? Well, I don't think the Rams would be one of them. If I'm Arch Manning, I don't think I want to go to Cleveland. I don't think Harbaugh's with the Chargers now. That's what I would always have said. I don't think I'd want to go to Miami. I wouldn't want to go to Miami. So yeah, here's the other interesting point. At what point does Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell decide we've gotten as much out of Jared Goff as we can possibly get? And when do they make a move? And you got to trust Brad Holmes. When do they make a move and decide maybe we need to get in the Arch Manning sweepstakes? Let's see here. Brian Smith slamming SummerSlam, wrestling his career. Steeler fan Rob, Watt retires a Steeler. Bravo. I totally believe you. Watt retires a Steeler with no playoff wins. I'm right there with you. There you go. Michael Negretti, Pastor Joe to the NFC West, break a leg. There we go. That has different meaning in football, right? Anyone remember seeing Tim Krumrie in the Super Bowl? Was it the Super Bowl where that leg just waggled back and forth? That was pretty bad. Let's see. Tim Burns, Watt is going to the Niners, Sorge. Can the 49ers afford him? ESG, one of the teams that seems to be setting themselves up for Arch Manning is the Saints. See, there's another thing there. It's like, really? Yeah, there's not a quarterback in the state of Louisiana right now, right? And does Arch Manning want to go to the Saints? Because they're still hanging on to a dream, right? Demario Davis, Chris Olave, Alvin Kamara. They should be having their fire sale already. And what are they holding on to? So yeah, if I'm Arch Manning, I wouldn't want to go to the Saints with this team. I want a team that's starting from the bottom up. And going back, go live in that experience. Pastor Joe, what are you looking for in the preseason game? What positions are you looking for? Oh, cool. I got to tell you, I do want to see Stetson Bennett play. I'm not interested in seeing Dresser win. I want to see Stetson Bennett play. I do want to see Kanata Mumpfield. I do want to see him because I feel like we know from Nakua, Adams, Whittington, and Atwell. We know those guys, right? I hope there's no battle between Xavier Smith and Britton Covey. I want it to be Xavier Smith, but I really want to see a Kanata Mumpfield. And that'll be interesting too with Mumpfield, right? 7th round pick, but everyone's raving about him. If he's not playing, that tells you what they think about him. And if he is playing, maybe he's Lance McCutcheon, right? So that one interests me. Tight end room doesn't really interest me. I'm kind of curious with Dylan McMahon's twisted ankle there. Who plays center right now? Does Justin Diedick get a shot at center? Are they going to play Bo Limmer, Dylan McMahon? Who are they going to play? Because they're not going to play Coleman Shelton. That one is kind of interesting. I do want to see this Willie Lampkin kid that you guys got me turned on to. I haven't been watching, or he wasn't on my radar. KT Leviston, that's the other one. And I haven't heard too much more about him since early in June. So those guys are interesting to me. I don't want to see DeJuan Johnson play. I want him to make the team. I'm running through this right here. I'm curious to see how much, if any, I doubt, Landman or Spates play. So it's Elias Neal, it's Chris Paul, Sean Dolak, and such. So yeah, those are the guys right there. That's kind of what I'm thinking about and looking at. I always like to look and see the offensive linemen that are out there. Like we're going to see AJ Curry out there, right? This might be another last shot for him. So Steeler fan Rob, sorry, Steeler for life. Speaking about TJ Watt. Steve Ramirez, Snead is close to the Mannings for what it's worth. Yeah, I mean, it was a big deal back in the spring. Wasn't it in the spring or something? I remember that. Steeler fan Rob, Watt wins a Super Bowl. Anyone want to make a vote right now? Do the Steelers win a Super Bowl within the next 3 years? Does the Steelers win a Super Bowl in the next 3 years? Vote here. Tim Burns, I want to see linebacker who plays and how long, right? But again, yeah, we don't want to see these guys play too much, right? That's how the Rams kind of do it. Steve Ramirez, who wins Rams exhibition? Who gets the Nelson Spruce Award? Okay. Generally, the guy that gets the Nelson Spruce Award does not make the team, but everyone kind of loves him. Who gets Nelson Spruce Awards? Generally a receiver. Mario Williams. Does Mario Williams get the Nelson Spruce Award? I'm going to go with Mario Williams, Nelson Spruce Award. Dolak will be fun to watch. What about Stoops? Stoops, he's got that suspension at the start of the year. I think he's going to be like that JJ Koski guy that he'll hang around, he'll get cut, he'll go to the practice squad unless some other team picks him up. I don't see room for him on this roster. I just don't see room for him on the Nakua, Adams, Whittington, Atwell, Smith, and either Mumpfield, and then maybe we'll find out about Covey. I just don't see room for Stoops. I just don't. It'd be interesting. He could be our third in Renfro. I just don't think there's room for him. I think a guy like Jordan Whittington fits the bill better than what Drake Stoops can. That's just how I feel, Willie. Tim Burns, Steelers have lost 5 in a row. Oh man, Tim Burns is pushing. Michael Negretti, nope, break a leg, Steeler fans. Brian Smith, who will be the Lance McCutcheon of this preseason? Well, Lance McCutcheon, one winner of the Nelson Spruce Award. I'm going Mario Williams, former USC, former Tulane receiver, former Oklahoma receiver. I think he had 3 stops. That's where I'm going with that. Let's see here. Oh, we passed the 50-minute mark. Gee whiz. Okay, let's get to what we want to get to here.
It was a stone stone groove, my man.
It was a stone groove. All right, let's look at this date in Rams history. Not a whole lot. Turning 37 today. 37, former Ram strong safety Darian Stewart, undrafted free agent out of South Carolina. Anyone remember Darian Stewart? He was actually signed before Les Snead, but was there after Les Snead. He got there in 2010. Played 4 years with the Rams. 2013 was a big year. 2011 he became a starter, and of course he was a safety, so no one re-signed him. He became a full-time starter in Baltimore, and then won a Super Bowl for Denver. Not bad for a UDFA. He had about 10, 11 years in the league. So today, Darian Stewart, one of those lost St. Louis guys, turns 37. Nothing much on the player front. On this day in 1972, the Rams beat the Browns in the preseason 13-3. On this date in 1985, the Chargers beat the Rams in San Diego 17-10. But I was saving this one for last. On this date in 1979, the Rams played the Raiders to open preseason. Now, a month later, they would play the Raiders to open the 79 season, and they lost 24-17. Hayden was awful, and that got that season off to a crazy start. But the Rams and Raiders played a preseason game on August 4th, 1979. Rams beat the Raiders in Los Angeles, and they had to go to overtime to do it. Isn't that the funniest thing to think about? Preseason game going to overtime. Now, 79 was the first year. No, it was the second year. The preseason games got shortened from 6 to 4 because 78, the schedule was expanded to 16 games, and they lowered the preseason games to 4. And but to think the Rams went into overtime to beat the Raiders 20-14 in 1979. It's just so funny to think about that. We're not on the air tomorrow. But tomorrow, we want to acknowledge Roman Gabriel. Roman Gabriel, if he was still with us, would be turning 85. Gabriel passed away last April, not this April, last April in 2024. He passed away on April 20th. And so, Ram legend. I missed the Gabriel years, as I've said. I just saw 1972 and just saw the highlights. But that guy struck a chord with Ram fans, and he is the guy that people always go back to. They loved Roman Gabriel. There's been a push. His son, Robin Gabriel, has put a push that he should get consideration for the Hall of Fame. He's one of those tragic Ram figures of the 60s, mid-60s through the 70s that, you know what, a playoff win or two, an appearance, something might have helped his cause. I think emotionally it's a great story. He gets drafted in 62, and the Rams draft quarterbacks in the first round in 63 and 64, Terry Baker and Bill Munson, respectively, and takes George Allen, a Hall of Fame coach, to show up and say, what the blank are we doing? Gabriel becomes a starter by 66, and that's that 66 season. Rams got their first winning record in almost 10 years. They're 8-6. 67's a big year, playoff year. 68's another great year, but the playoff system's kind of funky. They don't make the playoffs that year. In 69, they start off 11-0. He's player of the year. And I always go back. I think I was talking last week that I'd love to write an alternate history story of Burt Jones becoming the Rams quarterback in the 70s and seeing how that would have played out in Rams history. But I also have this fantasy of the Rams beating the Vikings or holding on to the Vikings in 69 and then winning the following week and playing in Super Bowl IV against the Chiefs. That would have looked really cool. That Ram road white jersey playing against the Chiefs in those red jerseys of theirs. And imagine the Rams and Chiefs playing in Super Bowl IV. I think that would have been a different game, right? Because I think that Rams front line was a lot heavier and stronger than the Purple People Eater line. I don't know. I'll let Steve Ramirez comment on that. But I think if Gabriel had a few more of those moments, I think just like everybody else, Larry Brooks, Jack Reynolds, a lot of these guys, Isaiah Robertson, I think they would get more of a look if they could have just got over the hump and at least appeared in a Super Bowl, let alone squeaking out one or two. Or if Dan Reeves couldn't have been such a, put a little more trust in George Allen, right? I don't know. It's interesting, and we can't change it. So wanted to throw that out there. All right. We've come up to the 59-minute mark. I got to keep this under an hour. So, guys, thanks for being out there. Let's see here real quick here. Bill, do you think they are quiet about Lampkin is to sneak him onto the practice squad? I don't know. I've heard stories like that. I guess I'm going to go over an hour. I've heard stories like that, but I don't know for sure. We'll see when he plays, right? We'll see how much playing time he gets. Brian Smith McCutcheon is still bouncing around from practice squad to practice squad. Isn't that funny? You know, everyone's saying, oh, he needs to be on the roster. He needs to be on the roster. And I think last I saw, he was on the Steelers practice squad or in camp with the Steelers. Remember the guy with the Raiders? Man, his name's escaping me now. In 2019, he was kind of like their Nelson Spruce. Doss, was it something, Cadell Doss or something? And Keelan Doss, I think it was. And he got cut. And everyone thought, oh, this guy looks really good. He's never made it in the NFL either. He's still bouncing around. Steve Ramirez. That's true about those Viking teams. You could run at them. Thank you, Steve. You know better than I would. You saw those games. But yeah, there's a lot of truth to that. Okay, guys, I got to let you go. We have hit an hour. But God bless. We are going to be live on Wednesday. So thanks so much. Please hit like, subscribe. Thanks for hanging out. We're a little bit closer to the start of the season. Bye, guys.